It's not working anymore. Boom. Okay. Okay. I think I fixed it. I don't know if I actually fixed it, but I think I fixed it. So hopefully, that's gonna be fine. I don't know. I just wanted to stream. I just wanted to stream. That's okay. I still got about a half hour, I suppose. So the new plan is going to be to go ahead and start actually painting. Which, this is not going to be the prettiest paint job I ever done. Because all I'm going to do is block in. Anything come in post yet? Not yet. I have not received anything yet. As soon as I get it, though, I will definitely let you know. I'm glad that things seem to be working again. But yeah, no, I haven't seen anything yet. It should be here soon, is my assumption. If you sent it out, and you sent it out, then it should all be here very soon. And that excites me. Because even though I was just talking about how I'm moving away from Primaris, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy painting the models. And to be honest, I realized as I was messing around with Battlescribe that my real goal is to go ahead and get like 2,000 points of Primaris and 2,000 points of Firstborn, and just have 4,000 points of Imperial Fists altogether. Because I have too many models from my Primaris army that were either gifts from friends or I just really like. And so getting rid of them would make me very sad. Like I have a Repulsor Executioner I think I've talked about that I'm never getting rid of because it was a wedding gift from my wife. But yeah, I was talking about this a minute ago. I do not need to be right back. I am right here. This is a 3D printed Firstborn, or not first, yeah, a 3D printed True Scale Mark III Marine, right? And so obviously he took a couple of liberties. The creator took a couple of liberties with the design, but I think that these are so cool because they're very, very quite clearly Mark III Marines, and I think they look fantastic. So I'm excited to paint them. I'm excited to have them as part of one of my 3 tactical squads for my Firstborn army. And so I'm going to get these guys all painted up, and they're going to be part of my Imperial Fist army. And eventually I'm probably going to go back and do a much better job with them because, especially with all the medical issues I've been having, I don't feel like I'm doing a great job with them right now. But yeah, I think for the ATV, I kind of want to make it do a sick move. Do you know what I mean? When I get it, I kind of want to base it so that it's like leaping over a ridge. But I don't know if I have the basing skills to do that. I'm going to make the model, I'm going to paint the model up as beautifully as I can. But I like the idea of it doing like the Dukes of Hazzard ramp jump. But I don't know if I have the ability to. I'm off to the Warhammer store on the 1st, store anniversary, so I'm getting the last of the army I need. That is very cool. I think the collecting part of this game is by far the funnerest part of this game. I love collecting these models, and I love getting to paint them. Paint it up as a Mario Kart. I could. That's actually not a bad idea. I would have to go away from the Imperial Fist look, though. But I could very much make one of them Mario and one of them Luigi or something, and I think that would look fantastic. So I think I'm just going to have a very strange off-kilter model to go in my arm, or not to go in my army, to go in my display shelf. And I can even 3D print like a turtle shell and have it coming out of the main barrel of the cannon on top. And it could be like double dash this. And yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to do. That'll be a fun one for the stream. So I think that is going to be the plan of action. Right now, though, I've got to get used to painting like this because it's been a while since I've had to do it, so I've been holding models much closer to my face. And I'm not used to having it this far away anymore. Which I know is a very minor difference, but it's causing me all sorts of strife right now. I think that's what I should do. I've got to stop wanting to collect new armies, because I very inevitably, with every new army I've tried to collect, I burn out after painting a couple of the models. And it's just like, I'm not having fun anymore. I've just spent a ton of money on these models and got them all about halfway done. And I don't want to sell them because I've done XYZ with them. So I don't know what to do. And then I just end up having a ton of models that I don't need anymore. Like, I've gotten not very many of the Custodies or the Sisters of Silence done, but I can already feel myself souring on that paint line, because I bought them specifically to practice doing non-metallic metal. And I feel like I've gotten to that point where it's like, okay, I decently understand non-metallic metal, and so I really don't want to paint them anymore. But I don't really know what to do with them now, because I've already built them up to look a specific way. And it just feels like a waste. But that's okay. I suppose I'll keep chugging away at them. There's no deadline to get those guys finished. And once they are, they're going to look really weird because of the varying degrees of skill of non-metallic metal I've done on them. But I suppose I will see. We will see. But yeah, I think from now on, when I get a hankering to get a model just from a different faction that I don't plan on going all in on, I'm just going to go ahead and make it weird. Because I'm going to have a Mario Kart now, apparently, which is going to be cool and fun. I've got my Amogus Votann, and while I kind of want to build a Votann army, I really don't need to build a Votann army. I have absolutely no need for another one. So, the fact that I have the Amogus ones should be more than enough for me, and I think I'll just leave it at that. Oh, come on. I was actually reading just today, someone was asking about like the Chthonian Berserkers, which I guess are the dwarves with the hammers. And they were like, is there any unit in the game that 10 dwarves with hammers can't take on and come out on top against? And while that answer is pretty straightforward, but going by how the game plays, it did bring up a point that like the Votann in general, their rule system, their entire army is built on countering other armies' things. Just like, hey, if you're really hard to hit and have high saves, well, I have judgment tokens, and now I have auto wounds. If you've got feel no pain, same thing. I've got these auto wounds, and they ignore your feel no pains. And oh, well, you've got invulnerable saves. Well, guess what? This railgun ignores invulnerable saves. And so it just feels like, especially with 9th edition, that a lot of the armies and a lot of the rules have just been built to counter other armies and other rules, which really sours me on wanting to play 9th edition anymore. And I hope that they fix this problem in 10th edition, because I do actually enjoy the playing of the Warhammer. And even though one-page rules has been a really nice divergent from that, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? I want to play the Warhammer, and I'm not really playing the Warhammer if I'm playing the one-page rules. Yeah, well, they're doing spoilers already with like Tyranids and Terminators, and they've hinted that Space Hulk is going to be a thing again. And there have been a lot of rumors that they're going to vastly simplify the armies and the sub-factions and whatnot. And if they do that, that'll be an interesting thing to see. So I'm curious how all that's going to turn out. I've heard that they're going to get they're going away from the army books for a bit, and that they're going to be moving back to doing indexes like they did for 8th edition. And that just seems like a good thing to me. Simplify down the armies, and hopefully don't build them back up so they all just kind of counter each other in really dumb ways. In a way that makes like the older manuals no good. I don't remember where I saw it, but apparently some YouTube group did a tournament using all of the 9th edition manuals as they were when they were first released. And it was apparently a nightmare. Like, the game was not fun. Things were just clearly better than other things. And it's like, that's a real great way to lose a fan base. At least I think so. If you're making the game so intuitively not fun, then you're creating problems for everyone. But I suppose we'll see. It looks like, at least with Age of Darkness and Horus Heresy, they've done a good job of keeping that game relatively fun. But I don't want to have to learn yet another game system. You know what I mean? Try and play one game. But I will say, some of the stuff they've come out with so far is really cool. Like, I posted the Commander Dante. I was very excited to be there as a leak was being revealed. And that just is my inner 10-year-old happy to be part of something. But that Commander Dante model is fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of Primaris, like I talked about. I'm not a huge fan of the Sanguinary Guard, honestly. I think the Sanguinary Guard is kind of silly looking. But Dante, in his gold armor, the way they did it, it made me a fan. I love how that model looks. So I'm hoping the rest of the Blood Angels get that kind of treatment. With the slight range refresh. From what I know, they're going to put jump packs on Assault Intercessors and make them closer to Assault Marines again. That's going to be neat to see. I don't know. I want to keep being excited about this game. And the neat things that they're doing with the game. Actually, golly, speaking of excited and neat things, I don't know if you can really see it, but this was printed on my new printer, which is an 8K printer versus the 2K printer that I've been using. And the fineness of detail with the layer lines is just absolutely blowing my mind. This model looks fantastic. I'm having to really like squint in really hard to see the layer lines on this guy in some spots. And that's just super neat to me. Because that was a huge reason why I wanted to get the new printer. The other reason was incredibly self-serving. I just really wanted to have a printer with a larger build plate so I could print some vehicles. I've got some... Speaking of codex, my mate has given me the new Astra Militarum codex. I play them, but no way I'm getting the new troops or rebasing. Do you have to rebase them? I don't know if they've changed the sizes of the bases. But like the new Cadian guards are pretty neat, but I don't think you're gonna have to change any of that stuff. That is one thing I will give Games Workshop a lot of credit for, is that you really don't need to change up your original units. You can keep playing them as is, even if they release new runs of them. Do you have any models that... Actually, as a guard player, what is your overall opinion on the guard re-releases? I remember we talked about it briefly when it first happened, but I don't really remember your input. The sizes of the heavy weapons have shrunk? Have they? Well, that sucks. Yeah, F that. Keep the bases that you got. That is one thing that does frustrate me, is when that kind of things happen. I don't know. What do you think of some of the new models? I know, if I remember right, you weren't very fond of the new Guardsmen. You didn't like how they looked. But it's been a while since we've talked about it, and I've frankly forgotten. But yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts are. You've been playing this game a lot longer than I have. You've definitely got some opinions, and I feel like they should be shared. Or the tea. Well, first of all, I put this gun on wrong. It's got like a Rob Liefeld thing going on where it's really bent in an awkward angle off the trigger. Yeah, like going back to the size of the base thing, I honestly thought that, like, if you were, you know, quote unquote kit bashing to your disadvantage, then people just generally allowed it. So like the fact that you're keeping your base. Ursula Creed, nah. Lord Solar, old model was better. I know who her father is, Castellan Creed, but I didn't realize there was an older Lord Solar. Like, that was the first time I had seen or heard of the character, so I was not sure who that was. I personally liked the Napoleon influence that was clearly in how that model was designed. But, yeah, I like the Ursula Creed model, but she looks way too much like the Trunchbull from the old Matilda movie. And I think that's probably why I like it, because I have fond memories of that movie as a kid. But especially in comparison to Commissar Creed and like his iconic Mini, she looks very unimpressive. You know what I mean? Speaking of, one of my favorite things finding out as I was growing up was in, I think it's the second Harry Potter movie, the one where Aunt Marge comes to visit at the beginning of the movie. That was the same actress who played the Trunchbull. So it was really fun watching her play an obnoxious, horrible character again, and then get inflated for her troubles, which sounds a lot weirder than it should. But it was just neat seeing that she's A, still acting, because, you know, as a kid you don't think about those things, but B, that that she's clearly still doing it with a lot of gusto. But yeah, when I first saw the Creed model, I was like, oh yeah, it's Stellan's daughter, and she's really cool looking. But the more I look at it, especially with how they released some of the other commissars, like, you could replace her lower body with any of the other new commissars and it would be the exact same, because they're all just kind of standing there. Which I guess makes them look great as chess pieces, but in a game where everything's kind of dynamic, it makes it really underwhelming. By any chance, do you have a picture of the old Lord Solar? Or is that something I should go ahead and Google for myself? There we go. That turned out really nice. Okay, I'm done getting that on him. So let's go ahead, paint up a Surgent right here. Get that a little bit watered down. And let's make a mess on his shoulder pad. I made too much of a mess on his shoulder pad. Grab my phone, sing a big thank you. I will say that people who play guard, I have the utmost respect for, because the idea of playing a horde army is just so intimidating to me. I've never been really good at like large-scale resource management, so things like guard and Tyranid and orcs, it's just like, that's way too much to keep track of. That's scary. One moment. Let's go ahead and hit some more of this. I can't even tell which part of this gun should stay black, but very clearly parts of this gun should stay black. Okay, I think I'm blocking off a lot of the light there, so. But yeah, on my 3D printer, I've got a drop pod and 2 whirlwinds waiting in line. And I also have a Leviathan Dreadnought. Once I have those guys printed, and a squad of 8-10 Assault Marines, once I have those guys printed, I'll have my full Firstborn army. I think, yeah, that's gonna need another layer. That's okay. Go ahead and get some more of you. Up right here. Right over the torso. That. Oh yeah, it's got a wide open stance, so I can actually get his belt a little more effectively. here. If I had just been a little bit better about my tolerances with this 3D print, you would not be able to tell that he's not the real deal. And that just absolutely blows my mind that we've advanced that far with 3D printing technology. There we go. Put these little cables on his backpack. Hey Montrevon, how's it going? Good to see you again. How has your day been? Hopefully nice and pleasant and winding down. I'm just over here trying to batch paint a bunch of firstborn Imperial Fists so that I don't have to play Primaris anymore. Because while a lot of people like Primaris, they're just not my thing. And right now, I'm waiting for... Oh, that's good to know you had a good day. I'm waiting for Mr. Red to come back because he was going to show me, they were going to show me an old Lord Solar. So Lord Solar, because we were talking about the new Imperial Guard units, and he mentioned that he liked the old Lord Solar, which is the dude on the horse, I believe. So I'm curious what made the old model so much better. Sent it to Discord. Very cool. Which means everyone can see it, not just me. Let's go ahead and check out the Discord. Let's hope I don't accidentally... Oh my god. Everything turned off on, okay. I think my computer tried to shut itself down because I hit the wrong button, so I gotta log back into Discord. Yeah, Steam is out. Everything's out. All of the secondary programs turned off. Ah, the old... Yeah, that's definitely a neat model. I can see why you like this one. We're gonna copy that link, and we're gonna go over here. And no, I don't want that one. Once again, I have completely forgotten how to do this. We're gonna do a media source, I guess. Not a local file. Input, I guess. No, this is not what I want. We're gonna cancel that. Get rid of that media source because I clearly don't know what I'm doing. Move the media source. I think I know what I'm gonna do. We're gonna open a new Chrome. Throw that in Chrome. And then I'm going to do a no window capture. That's what I want. Well, bam. There we go. I'll figure this out eventually, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. So there we go. That's the original Lord Solar. And yeah, that is a neat looking model. What does the new one look like? He's the one on Lord Solar 40K model. That one definitely has a lot more gilded an outfit. This one... Yeah, I can definitely see why you dig the old one. I do appreciate that they kind of kept his like goofy mouth portions going on there. He's still got that heavily pursed face, especially in comparison to this one. But yeah, his armor looks like it's been updated for sensibility or just for easy printing, because it's a whole lot less interesting to look at than his old armor. But you know, live and learn. Lord Solar Macarius, and this one is not Lord Solar Macarius. It's Lord Solar Leontis. Okay, so he's a different character entirely. I suppose that makes sense. Leontis is Lord Commander. Solar... Yeah, I suppose so. It is what it is, though. I mean, that has been a big thing, is they've been trying to push the narrative forward, I guess. And so they have to have new characters. Okay, is there anything out? Yeah, there's a lot of little things on here that paint up and do things too, so I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and hit his grundle. Well, not really his grundle, but you know what I mean. Hit his little thigh area so I can get some of that, some of those power glove, body glove things. There's the word. This does not have a power glove. Okay, then we're gonna get some on the rear. And get some of his leggy, which is always where I struggle. Because for the life of me, and this has entirely to do with brush angle, I can never just keep it in there. It always ends up going all over the place. Which is fine. He's a lineman, or a line infantry. No one's gonna notice. What else needs to be done on this guy? Oh yeah. Okay, here's the tough part. You guys are about to see a catastrophe happen. There it went. Absolute chaos. And again, not something I overly emphasize. I don't really try and be perfect with this. I just try and be good, because this is a line sergeant. No one is going to notice. I do really wish they had raised up the relief of both the ring and the Imperial Fist logo on here, because very clearly it is not high enough if it's causing me to make those kind of mistakes. So I will say that this was also a free shoulder pad, so I can't complain too much, can I? Let's go ahead and do that. Right there. Some of that. Some of that. And the rest of this is going to get a good old once-over with a walk. So that one's done-ish. Nope, he's not done. I forgot about his shoulder. I forgot that I did not like how that shoulder looked. Because it was one sloppy water layer. So lore-wise, do you have any clue what happened to Solar Macarius, or did he just die and now they've got a new one? Because they've you know, pushed forward the timeline 100 years or so. That's going to go there. On to the next one. On to another heavy boy with his heavy weapon. Because, yeah, I honestly, I think I've mentioned it before, but I really don't follow the proper 40k proper lore as much. I think he's dead. I guess that would make sense. It's kind of like how they killed Commissar, oh my goodness, why am I forgetting his name? Old Baelai, Yarick. They finally killed Yarick off screen. And I don't think they've ever really explained how he died. They've just acknowledged that Yarick is dead. And there were a lot of running jokes of Ghazghkull Thraka, you know, not taking the news well. And they've implied that I'm forgetting because I'm oh no. I've made my wife so mad at me, she's speechless. Either that or it died again. I'm old! I am old. He's not dead, he's resting in a display case. Yeah. No, I think phone is dumb at times. I'm pretty sure Yarick dead. I'm pretty sure that in the new World Eaters book, not in the new World Eaters book, but there's pretty heavy implications that he was killed at some point, or he died of old age or whatever. But Armageddon is now back under control of the World Eaters. And so they were like, my goodness, how's Ghazghkull going to react to the fact that Yarick is dead? That's a big deal. It's also a big deal. It's how sloppy I'm doing this. Good gravy. Oh, fair enough. You know what happened? I think Trazen scooped in at the last minute and grabbed him. I think that's truly what happened. So now he's just chilling with Commissar Creed. I do kind of love the idea, though, that Yarick is gone. You know, Macarius is gone. Dante cannot die and will not die. Poor man crossed the Rubicon, and he is still alive. Games Workshop will not let him rest. Because that is what actually was happening at the devastation of Baal when Sanguinius spoke to him. It wasn't, you know, you still have so much work to do. You still need to lead the Blood Angels. It was, you still sell so many models. We still need you to help with our dividends. Okay. That's looking like a sloppily painted Melta. That's okay. Okay, what else needs to be done? I need more black paint is what needs to happen. They're gonna have Yarick come out of this with a steel chair at the very end. He's still gonna be alive. Like, Lionel Johnson is gonna wake up, and the first thing he's gonna see is Yarick standing over his bed, being like, "It's time you woke up, my lord. We've got a lot of purging to do," or whatever. It'll be fantastic. Which on your phone is a... I bet it is. It's potato. Yes, well, Twitch on phone is potato. That's my understanding, in general. So have any of you guys seen Malcolm in the Middle? They have the one kid in that show that was in the wheelchair, and he was Malcolm's friend, but one of the biggest things about him was he had, like... I hope they won't ruin the lion model. Varrock says it's got a really good pose. Apparently, he's seen it. I don't know how much he's lying, because he tends to do that. He'll say, like, 2 truths and a lie. But, my understanding, at least from what he has said offhandedly on his show, is that the new model looks fantastic. And that it's not, it's not... I can't even remember the names of the Dark Angels boys. But it's very clearly the lion. It looks great. People are gonna love it, etc., etc. But who knows? Probably have a hole in the... Well, yeah, how else are you gonna put the base on a stick so you can swing it across the room once you realize you hate the model? I think, speaking of... I've got a friend right now who's reading through Descent of Angels, the Dark Angels, like, intro novel for the Horus Heresy. And, he reads through the wiki to just kind of find out, because he enjoys the journey more than the destination, which is very similar to me. I don't care if I get spoiled generally. I'm more interested in trying to keep everyone's name straight, that kind of thing. So, he was aware of how that book ended, and he knows that the Dark Angels... He's very new to 40k in general, so he's not sure about a lot of the chapters. He knows that the Dark Angels are like setting up for a big betrayal, and there's going to be like a mini heresy and yada yada yada. And he definitely picked up on how much they were emphasizing the relationship between Nemiel and Zahariel, who are the 2 initiates they follow in that book. And I decided to ruin his day, because I don't know if you guys know how much you've read of the Horus Heresy, but the first book of the Dark Angels establishes these 2 principal characters, a pair of brothers, I believe, named Nemiel and Zahariel. And they go through the trials of becoming a knight on Caliban, and then they both become space marines and all of that fun stuff, right? And at the end of the first book, Zahariel, who is kind of the primary or protagonist that we've been following the book through, he gets sent back to Caliban with Luther, because Luther was basically going to let the lion die in an assassination plot until he, changed his mind at the last minute. But Zahariel noticed it and didn't say anything until the last minute. So I guess the lion decided they weren't trustworthy, right? So Zahariel gets sent back to Caliban with Luther, and Nemiel continues working alongside the lion as a brother redemptor chaplain in the next book. And so we get to see them kind of, forge their alliances with their individual. Golly, this is turning out like booty. With their individual head of the Dark Angels, right? Zahariel works with Luther and falls under his sway, and Nemiel works with the lion and falls under his sway. And it's like, okay, they're setting up this big clash between two brothers, and that's going to be a big part of like what the Horus Heresy is. It's just going to be not a dichotomy, a miniaturization of the entirety of the heresy, brother against brother, and all that stuff. And it's like, cool. This is decent storytelling in what's otherwise a fairly boring book. And as we're talking about this, I'm looking at my friend. I'm like, hey, do you want to know what happens to Nemiel? And he's like, what? And I say, well, in another story called The Lion, a short story, the lion's... Okay, have a good one. The lion ship is assaulted by Kairos Fateweaver, I guess, a Lord of Change, and he realizes that they're having a hard time dealing with them until they let a Psyker do Psyker things, and the Psyker is able to deal with them. And so they're like deciding, what should we do with the Psyker? He broke the Edict of Nicaea. Yeah, that one. And the lion is about to be practical. He's like, okay, go ahead and get together with the rest of your Psyker brothers and solve this problem for us. And as he's doing that, Nemiel, who has not been in the story at all up until then, they mentioned that he's next to the lion doing thing, being like an attendant. He pipes up and says, but that's going against the Edict of Nicaea. I won't let you do that, my lord. And, the lion's like, you're supposed to be loyal to me first, the Emperor second, or whatever. And how are you going to stop me? And Nemiel's like, I don't know, but you can't do this. I'm going to stop you. And he stands in front of the lion and kind of blocks his path. And then the lion just backhands his head off. Hey, Mr. Motorhead, how's it going? Yeah, we were talking about releases, and we were talking about the new lion model that is most definitely going to come out at some point. And today, actually, I was talking to a friend about one of the Dark Angels books from the Heresy, because he's going through the heresies, the Horus Heresy, and I finished like 30 some odd of them, so I have a pretty good knowledge of most of the books, especially the early ones. And one of the things that always stuck out for me was the fact that Brother Redemptor Nemiel of the Dark Angels was a principal character in like the first two major Dark Angels books, and then the lion just fucking murks him without a second thought and with little fanfare in a short story, because they build up this big, cross-factional sibling rivalry between Nemiel and his brother Zahariel, who is back on Caliban with the lion, or not with the lion, with Luther. And that feels like it's setting up the Fallen and all that stuff, because it is. But it's like we have these two characters who we spent 2 books like learning the perspective of, and then suddenly, nope, one of them doesn't matter. He doesn't have a head anymore. And just the incredibly callous, off-the-cuff dismissal of this character they've built up across 2 novels was really jarring to me. And it made me go from someone who was interested in the lion story and in Caliban in general to absolutely not caring. Like, my attention and my regard for the Dark Angels as a faction that I cared about just completely dropped off the face of the earth because of just how badly that was handled. And if I recall right, the writer who did that to them was also expressed regret over how he handled that situation. But it was just like, that's a really crappy way for what was an important character to die. I mean, clearly not of the same literary stature, but it would be like if, at the very beginning of Return of the King, if like Sam was just suddenly eaten by Shelob, and it was done off screen before Frodo woke up or something, and when Frodo woke up, he just saw like the remains of Sam over in a corner. So it was just like, oh, you've lost me as a reader. And I don't know if I was the only one that felt that way. I don't think so, because in some of the lore groups that I've been to, they've mentioned that, yeah, that was an incredibly odd moment in the series. And it's really minor, don't get me wrong. It's not like it was some major betrayal of the reader's trust. But if you were interested in the Dark Angels story at all, and like in my case, that's how I was introduced to the Dark Angels, that was a big deal for me, because they were the characters that you first kind of emotionally connect to. So yeah, that was a thing. And anyway, I was telling my friend that while we were at work today, and he just kind of stopped and his eyes got really wide. He was like, wait, what? That's what happens to Nemiel? He was just as befuddled as I was. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that long-winded bit. How are you doing, Mr. Motorhead? How are things going? I've been gone for like 2.5 weeks, and I've felt every day of it. But I at least had a really good excuse. Well, please, I have to sneeze. I'm really not. I'm not actually doing much better. The medication that they have me on is, I don't know if it's helping at all, but I just happen to have enough free time to be able to get online to do this. Well, actually no, I can just kind of explain it now. I've been having some like chest tightness and breathing issues the past couple weeks. And they started very suddenly. I was perfectly fine. I was like boxing with my friends, like actually boxing with some friends. I was able to do that for, a solid hour without having to stop and catch my breath or anything while they needed water breaks and the like. And so clearly I'm in decent physical condition. And thank you, I appreciate it. That Sunday, all of a sudden, I was just starting to get chest tightness. And when I went into work the next day, I teach, and I was struggling to lecture. I was struggling to talk to the kids. I was struggling to move around. And I'm normally a pretty mobile guy. I'm normally a pretty high energy guy. So the fact that I was kind of like half wheezing, half just deep breathing to try and recover in between sentences was enough for my co-teacher, who's also my friend, to be like, okay, you need to make an appointment. Because at around noon, I just started having what looked like a panic attack. I don't know if it was or not, but it basically looked like a panic attack. I had to I had to lean on my desk and just kind of stand there breathing for a second until I could catch my breath. And when I went into to the clinic to talk to someone about it, they were like, yeah, I recommend that you go to the ER. If you're having breathing issues, if you're having chest pain, that's like dangerous enough to be heart attack risk, so go to the ER. And so I did, and they held me there for like 3 days while they did some tests, and they haven't been able to find anything wrong with me. My blood pressure was slightly elevated, but beyond that, they couldn't figure it out. There are no blockages, there's no clotting as far as they can tell. So they kind of sent me home, and they got me an appointment with another cardiologist, and they got me an appointment with a pulmonologist that week. And the cardiologist wants to give me another test that's going to really check to see if there's anything wrong with my heart, and that'll be kind of the final word on that. And the pulmonologist thinks it might be adult onset asthma, which is considerably more mild, but I'm not going to be able to get a test for that till like the end of the month, or the next month. COPD, not to my knowledge. I'm adopted, so I don't really know my family history. But in the very casual conversations I've had with my adoptive parents, they've been like, "No, you don't have anything hereditary. You're fine." But it was also the late '80s, coming with adoptions out of Korea, and my understanding is that the offices that did that weren't exactly reputable when they were doing that. So I don't have the slightest clue. But I'm still having problems with the breathing. I'm still having problems with fatigue. I'm still having problems with chest pain. To the point where my co-teacher has just kind of sat me back in the corner at my desk and said, "Don't you move." But it is what it is. Hopefully the tests will be able to reveal some information and I'll be okay to go. That being said, I actually got a lot done today. I'm working on building up a firstborn Imperial Fist army. I've had a mix of Primaris and Firstborn for a while, and so now my goal is to try and convert everything over to Firstborn. Because I just don't like the look of Primaris, and I kind of don't like the stat lines. So, give me a second. So I'm getting these guys kind of batch painted up so that I can get them done, and I'll go back later and give them much more detail. But right now, I just kind of want to get them up to playable readiness. And I've also got a heckin' neat army, I think, going on here. Let me, please? Let me see what other insanities I've got going on. So, I've got these true scale Terminators that are going to be doing their thing. And a Terminator captain that I'm kind of at a point with. I'm kind of blocking them in, and then I'm going to give them a wash, and then I'm going to give them a much more thorough detail paint job. And then I've got this set of true scale Devastators with heavy bolters that I'm going to be using. And there's Sergeant. And then I've got this set of Mark 6 Horus Heresy Devastators, who are going to be using multi-meltas. And then I've got, not very many of them because they're all packed away, but I've got this set of Mark 3 Marines. And I've got these 2 Tech Priests. And so eventually, I've got 2 other lines of tactical squads. I'm gonna have 15 total. I've got them in like the Horus Heresy Mark 6 and the Mark 3, and I've got Mark 7. And then I've got another line of true scale Devastators that I painted a while ago. I'm going to make a line of Storm Shield Thunderhammer Cataphractii Terminators based off of the Voidwalker suit file that I really like. I'm also going to have a Leviathan Dreadnought, 2 Whirlwinds, who these 2 guys are going to babysit, and a Captain in Terminator armor with a Storm Shield and a Relic Blade. And I don't really care about being competitive or anything. It's entirely meant to be flavorful because I want them to just be a fist army. Actually, nah, I'm not going to do that. The other thing, and it's all going to be 3D printed, or as much of it is going to be 3D printed as possible. The other thing I've been working on has been a commission that I'm creeping ever closer to finishing. This mad lad, he took a bunch of like scrap parts and he kit bashed them together. So he's got like this thing running around all over the place. And his idea is incredibly like tech heresy, but I think it's hilarious, so I'm going with it. He wants to have a Mechanicus Forge World that has decided it prefers capitalism over the tenets of the Machine God. So, or the Omnissiah. So they are just putting together battle robots and selling them to the highest bidder. And so, like, this is one of them. I love the alternative because it's so silly looking with the goofy legs. This is another one. which I absolutely love because of those long chicken legs it's got going on. And then he's got these great dreadnoughts that he has absolutely just turned into 1980s kind of horror movie-esque. But I mean, look at these things. This is super neat. And so the next thing on my list with these guys actually is hitting the bone color with another wash to make it dirtied up. And I mean, look at this thing. Tell me that this wouldn't look out of place in like I don't want to say a Hellraiser movie, but one of those movies that's supposed to be like techno horror, right? But yeah, I need to figure out how to base these guys now because there's just so much going on with each one of them. And I think they're super neat. It's just a matter of how I'm going to make all of this come together. Kit Bash is great. I love it, I love it, I love it. That being said, though, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it for today. I came online just to kind of stream because I haven't for a while. Say hi, see if anyone was out there. Thanks for showing up, guys. I do appreciate it. I think I'm gonna get back to working on facing those guys because they need it. So I need to get that done so I can get paid. I've already spent the money. I bought myself a huge new 3D printer and wash and cure machine. But that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for keeping me company. Hope you guys had a good time. Oh, actually, you haven't seen this yet. I printed another Fulgrim, an even tinier Fulgrim, just to kind of test out the capabilities of the new printer. And I gotta say, I am incredibly impressed. Nope, wrong way. This is actually smaller than the Fulgrim that I painted a while ago. And the detail on him is incredibly sharp. Let's see if I can do this. And so, like, I'm ridiculously impressed. One of the things that stands out most to me, just because I've studied this so much and I spent so long looking at the other one, is the gilding on his waist and underneath the wing of his angel. Those all are, like, crystal clear, which they were definitely not in the old model. Matter of fact, let me see if I can do this without... Here's the old one I painted, which, don't get me wrong, I think he looks fantastic, but you can see, like, some of the gilding underneath his chest just ended up being really muddied out and not very good looking, right? Not very clear. And this one's actually smaller. This one's a little smaller, but you can see the detail on him is so much clearer. And so, well, obviously, that wasn't the full reason for getting the 8K printer. It definitely helped reinforce that doing so was a good idea. The other part is just that I get to do those. I get to now have a printer big enough to paint or to print vehicles. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and head out. Thanks again, guys, for being here. I don't know when the next time will be that I can see you. Hopefully, maybe tomorrow. But I'll have to see when I feel good enough to stream again. So have a good rest of the day, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.